Gretel began to worry for their safety. She cried to Hansel, "What if we are attacked or eaten? What about wolves, bears, cougars, raccoons? Hansel, oh Hansel, what are we to do?" "I will protect you," he replied, getting up from the dead log. He took Gretel's hand, and the two followed his trail of stones. They shimmered in the moonlit night. Hansel and Gretel finally arrived back home at the break of dawn. However, they were so tired that both immediately fell asleep right in front of their cottage door. They awoke tucked in their beds to the sounds of the woodcutter and his wife arguing. "How could you leave our beloved children in the forest all alone?" they heard their father ask sadly. We will all starve if they stay here. There are too many mouths and not enough food. It is the only way, she replied. Now Hansel and Gretel surely knew their luck was over. Hansel tried to think of a way to protect the two of them. He looked all over in search of their skipping rocks. Since they were nowhere to be found, Hansel figured the mischievous bird had stolen them all. Hopeless, Hansel and Gretel went back to their beds and waited for their mother to come and take them to the forest. Sure enough, the woodcutter's wife made her way up to their room to retrieve them. She ordered Hansel into his walking boots and Gretel into her washing clothes. Off they went once more. Before they left, however, the woodcutter secretly slipped Hansel a small loaf of bread. Hansel saw the look of despair on his dear father's face. Hansel slipped the bread into his pocket, crushing it into mostly crumbs, and sadly followed behind his mother and beloved sister. Every few feet he dropped these breadcrumbs on the ground. Soon their mother grew suspicious of Hansel. "Hansel, what is it that you think you're up to?" she shouted. Again, Gretel quickly came up with a way to distract their mother. "Mother, mother, a wild forest fairy just flew into your hair." Panicked, Hansel and Gretel's mother began to shake and squirm. She disheveled her hair and screeched with fear. This gave Hansel time to catch up. "You children will be the death of me. Hurry along now," their mother grumbled. They traveled for a few more miles until they came to a very small clearing, even smaller than the previous. "I am going to find a good place to chop wood. Both of you, stay put. I will come back for you shortly," she commanded and declared. So the children waited and waited and waited, but their mother never returned for them. Hansel offered Gretel what little bread was left. "Is this what you have been dropping on the ground?" Gretel asked. "I dropped most of our skipping stones last time. Mother led us down a different route today, and that stupid bird must have stolen all of our stones. The breadcrumbs will be here in the morning, and we can follow them on our return home," Hansel replied. "In the morning? Hansel, I will not stay here overnight," Gretel cried. "What about wolves? What about—" Gretel began. "No wolves, bears, cougars, raccoons, muskrats, or squirrels will get us. I will protect you," Hansel promised, interrupting his frantic sister. They relaxed in the very small glade, resting their feet and playing guessing games. Suddenly, their noses were filled with an oddly sweet aroma. The children followed the wonderful scent. It grew stronger and more delicious. Mouths dripping with drool, Hansel and Gretel finally reached it. In front of their eyes and noses sat a house made entirely out of the most delicious-looking sweets. The roof was coated with fluffy white icing. Pink, sticky syrup drizzled and dripped along the sides of the dark chocolate exterior. A gumdrop door frame was sopping with sparkling icing sugar. A frothy milk chocolate river flowed under a gingerbread bridge that led to a gingerbread door, and a lollipop garden sat in front of a large crystallized sugar window. Hansel and Gretel stood stunned for a moment, and then, without caution or hesitation, they ran to the house and began stuffing their faces full of candy. "What little pretties have come to my house today?" screeched an odd voice. Hansel and Gretel stopped short and stared at one another. Each was messy and covered in candy. "Oh, two little ones to enjoy!" the voice screeched again. Hansel and Gretel turned and stared at a very small woman with scraggly hair wearing a long pink dress. She was very strange looking and smelled quite funny, a little too sweet.